Rob and Slim Show.
Hey, this is James Dermond calling.
James, how you doing? We're live back with author James Dermond.
Hey, how is everybody?
Pretty good, pretty good. How you been, dude? It's been a few years since we had you on, right?
Yeah, it was back in 2017, and I took a break from writing to finish developing a business that I was working on, and I ended up selling the business right before the pandemic started, which turned out to be a good thing, and now I'm back at writing.
That's what I was going to say. That's like a perfect scenario,
well,
man.
did turn out, yeah, I mean, I was at the point where I could either invest a lot more money in it and grow it or sell it, and I ended up selling it. I got the last payment in June 2019. So
Nice.
6 months later, all this started.
Wow, yeah, because I was wondering
up.
why it was so long between the books. So that is a valid excuse.
Yeah, the business just took a lot of time. I couldn't write really consistently and then work on the business.
Had you had
But
ideas while you were running the business though that you jotted down? Had you had stuff that came to you that you would go back to for writing?
Well, no, I mean, last time I was on, I re-listened to the episode on YouTube of when I was on last time. I do have a lot of stuff kind of outlined, for years worth of writing. So I just got back into this new collection. These 6 stories are just things that I already had ideas for.
Oh, cool.
And, they were kind of outlined, and I just had to write it. It took me less time to write this than the first volume, and then I'm assuming the third volume is going to be out in April. That's probably going to take less time than the second volume.
Nice.
So each book I'll get faster and faster.
Cool.
So there'll be regular production going forward.
So it is Doorways to the Unseen 2, and it's 6 Tales of Terror and Suspense.
That's right. So, yeah, and then the other books that I had planned, they will come out sometime this year. So I just, I wanted to be consistent with getting out volumes of the Doorways to the Unseen series. I decided I'm going to do 12 volumes of the series, 2 per year. The first volume each year will come out in April, and then the second volume will come out in October. And I'll just keep doing that until I reach 12 volumes.
Nice.
So it's over the next, what is that? This is the third volume in 2021, so, another 5 years. Cool. Of this short story series, in addition to the other things that I'm working on, which are full-length novels.
Nice. Had you had people over the years too messaging you, wondering where another book was coming?
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised at how many people do remember me. I mean, after that long gap, I've gotten messages on Facebook, on Facebook, but also mostly on Twitter. I'm really active on Twitter. And I've gotten emails just asking me what I'm doing, and the first volume is still selling.
That's what I was going to ask. If it consistently sold during those years too, that's a great thing to see.
Yeah. So the thing is, I had 30 reviews. Somebody just deleted one of their reviews, so now I'm back to 29. But I had 30 reviews for the first volume, and people find it on Amazon. They find it on other platforms.
Nice.
And that's the thing. Over the 4 years, I was still getting sales, and I was still, being noticed by the reading community, by my readers.
That's awesome.
So, the second volume, it didn't get as much attention. I think it's harder to reach people now on Twitter. You get that impression?
It's different. It's definitely a different space than it was. I was just talking to somebody the other day about how you used to be able to discuss much more cooler topics and all, and now it's just politics.
Well, it's just the reach is not as great as it used to be.
Yeah.
There's a lot of free traffic. 4 years ago, when I released the book at the end of 2016, in October, during October 2016.
I still connect with most of our guests.
But now
it
seems like they've really tightened how much free traffic you can get. They want you to pay for everything.
Yeah. I still I reach out to most of our guests on there, so it's still the best for that kind of a thing. But yeah, as far as daily tweeting and stuff, I don't even look at it as much as I used to. And when we're on breaks, I just don't even go on there.
Yeah, so I mean that's the thing is that I did a lot of sales through Twitter, and it's not as so much as it was now. So I'm going to look at other platforms, other ways of reaching people. I think probably email marketing is the way to go.
Yeah,
I
was going to say
you can't really nobody can shut it off. Like if Twitter changes their rules or Amazon changes their rules, it doesn't affect your email list.
Yeah. Were you going to ask something?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to discuss it or not, but I was just kind of curious to what your business was.
Oh, IT services. So I was a network technician for 12 years.
So why did you sell? You just wanted to go back to writing, or?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking, I was at the point where it's a really challenging business model, where you're on call 24/7, and I was looking at expanding, and it turned out that it was a great idea that I didn't. I live in Colorado, which has a tight lockdown, and it's really affected the businesses here. But I was looking at that, or just trying to make a go of this writing business. So I decided to sell the business to a larger company. They have offices in Denver and Chicago, and then I started getting back into writing. It was hard to get back into writing. Once you break your writing habit, it's really hard to just sit down every day and write again, as I found out. So that's why it took a while. I thought I'd be more productive than I was, but yeah, I mean, now I'm back into it, and I can knock out a book pretty quickly.
Cool.
So,
what's one of your favorite stories from the book?
Oh, from Doorways to the Unseen 2?
Yeah.
The one that I'm going to read today, and then the other one that I mentioned to you that I thought about reading an excerpt from was The Devil's Garden. My editor thought that those were the two best stories. So the Thing in the Cupboard is the one I'm going to read from today, and then The Devil's Garden is the longest story, and it has to do with Haiti in the 1930s and smuggling, and it's about voodoo.
Nice.
But,
cool.
That's an awesome.
But it's it's kind of a really involved story with a lot of supporting characters and things like that. This is the simpler story. I can kind of give a summary of it and then just read part of it.
Nice, yeah. Definitely, because I read The Thing in the Cupboard. It was awesome. I did want to go back though, and I want to read The Devil's Garden. And I do want to read the rest of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, so far I have gotten a good response from it. It's just that it wasn't I got a surprise response from Doorways to the Unseen, the first volume. I just kind of threw it out there, and hundreds of people bought it right away. And I got invited on your show. I got invited on other shows. The Chilling Tales for Dark Nights podcast did the audio version of 3 of the stories. They just jumped on it right away and wanted to do it. They were really excited about it.
Yeah.
So it's just that I think people were more active on social media then, so it was easier to reach people. And then I guess I was just in the right place at the right time, and but I'm going to have to make more of an effort to reach people this time, I think. Even though this is a more polished book. I used a different editor, who helped me with the whole writing process, and this is more of a professional book than the first one. Even though the first one I thought was up to the standards, but this is the result of me working on the publishing process. But so far I've had to do more work to reach out to people.
Yeah.
To get them to notice this.
Gotcha. And whenever you want to go, James, I'd love to hear an excerpt from The Thing in the Cupboard. Okay.
So I'll just give a quick summary of it. It's kind of almost like a young adult story. It has to do with a young boy, and he's about 12 or 13, and his parents have died in the recent past. His father has died that week, and then a year before his mother died, and his grandmother died in between that time. So really the only relative he has left other than his aunt, his mother's sister, is his grandfather, who's kind of a strange figure living out in a farm, like in a rural Massachusetts by himself. So I never mentioned just Massachusetts. I just kind of imply where it is. So they leave the funeral, and they end up driving out to the country home, the farmhouse of the grandfather, and already has a strange feeling when he arrives at the farmhouse and sees the place, and it's very isolated, out in the country. And his grandfather tries to feed him this kind of strange mash that he has in the refrigerator, and he doesn't want to eat it. He's starting to suspect something's wrong, and he goes upstairs while his grandfather goes out to the farm building to do some chores. So this is where I'm going to start out. The old man opened a side door and then disappeared inside the dilapidated building, closing the door behind him. The windows of the single-story structure were entirely boarded up, so grandfather's activities were now inscrutable. Jeremy scanned the area around the farmhouse visible from his window. There was a stone well with a moldering bucket dangling from a rope and rusted pulley not far from the front porch. It sat by itself in the open space near the fields, probably a relic from the farmhouse's early days. There was running water in the house's kitchen and bathroom, so the old well was likely dry now. Feeling a sudden pang of hunger, Jeremy's stomach grumbled audibly. There must be something to eat other than that weird goop, he thought to himself. He looked out the window again. Grandfather didn't appear to be coming back to the house. He must still be in that rickety building doing whatever. Jeremy decided to search the kitchen for anything remotely edible. The floorboards and stairs groaned as Jeremy hurried into the deserted kitchen and opened its bulky refrigerator, an appliance from a bygone era. Alongside it was a large wooden cupboard built into the kitchen wall. He inspected the packed shelves, finding only sealed plastic containers full of the gray mush, a jar of dill pickles, and one stick of butter in a tray. How does Grandpa live on this stuff? We're going to have to go grocery shopping tomorrow, Jeremy decided. Bringing the jar of pickles to the kitchen table, he opened its lid with some effort and speared one with a fork, lifting it to munch hungrily on one end. From behind, Jeremy heard a slow creaking sound coming from the hanging cupboard above the kitchen countertop. He turned his head while still facing the table and, out of the corner of his eye, saw the cupboard's door open. Still holding the impaled pickle, Jeremy turned and stood in front of the open cupboard. The interior was quite dark and surprisingly deep, extending farther back into the walls of the kitchen than its contours would suggest. A shape shifted around in the shadows, huddling at the back. The thing breathed, the sound nasal and rasping. "You must kill your grandfather, Jeremy." The creature spat in a sinister tone. "He is planning on harming you tonight. You must push him down the well outside once you have the chance." Wide-eyed, Jeremy put a hand over his mouth and peered into the depths of the cupboard, trying to make out the creature. It seemed to be a hairless rodent of some sort, about the size of a large cat. It was too dark to see more than that. Jeremy stepped forward, more curious than afraid. "Stop that! Don't look at me!" the creature hissed. "You must stay back." Jeremy froze and then stepped back toward the kitchen table, putting his fork down. "What are you?" he said cautiously. "I am the rightful owner of this house. I can say no more than that," the creature pronounced, its voice grating. "Now close the cupboard door and do not say a word to your grandfather about me. You ignore my warning at your peril." Not knowing what else to do, Jeremy shut the cupboard door and went back upstairs to sit on his bed. Was that real? Jeremy asked himself. It had to be. There is something genuinely off about this place and about Grandfather. Maybe that horrible thing is telling the truth. Jeremy jumped up from the bed and peered out the window once more. He saw Grandfather walking back from the decrepit building, a bucket full of something hanging around his knee. The sun was beginning to set, its red glow lighting up the landscape around the farm. Jeremy heard the farmhouse's door creak open and the sound of a heavy bucket being put down somewhere in the house. "Jeremy," came his grandfather's voice, "come downstairs and join me on the porch. Let's watch the sunset together before it gets too late." So that is the scene right before the action starts, basically.
Yes.
Where Jeremy realizes that something is really wrong with the house and with Grandfather.
Yes. I loved it, James. I did want a little more backstory to the MASH, though. The MASH was like the creepiest thing to me.
Well, what do you think the MASH is?
I don't know.
After reading the story,
I think the W were word. Kind of.
Okay, that's right. Okay, yeah, you're guessing right then.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's clear
awesome.
after you get farther into the story, it's clear what the MASH is made out of.
Okay, yeah. Good. I was wondering if I missed something or if that was accurate assessment. Cool.
Yeah, my editor thought it was a funny story. You know, it kind of has like an 80s like VHS horror type vibe to it.
Almost. And, what was that movie? You ever see They Live? Which was it They Live or
That
What's
was
the
the
one
one
where they
with
were?
Rowdy Piper. They were.
What was the one? It was like where they were eating the neighbors. Oh my god.
That was I know this Body Snatchers. Was that what it was or no?
That's a similar.
You mean Parents?
I don't remember.
Parents is from 1989. It's like a black comedy, and Randy Quaid is in it.
It might be where every night you see this like awkward like family dinner and they're just eating miserably and it ends up being like a paste of people or something that they were cooking.
Well, it's not. I'll tell the audience it's not cannibalism or anything like that. It's pretty gross once you realize what it is. I mean, the idea is that it's a build up to what you find out about grandfather.
Yeah. Yeah, but oh my god, I'm gonna have to go back. I'm gonna have to go back and look up that other film. I think They Live was Rowdy Piper. That was like he had some special glasses. Yeah, he had some stupid glasses. It was still a good movie. I still love that one. But yeah, this other one. Oh my gosh. James, I want to ask too. What are some of your biggest influences writing? Either other authors or where do you draw a lot of your inspiration from?
Yeah, I mentioned on the last show when I was on a while ago that like A Doorways to the Unseen is partially based on the Clive Barker's Books of Blood. It's going to be a series of short stories in volumes, and actually one of the stories in the next volume, in volume 3, is partially influenced by one of the stories. Cool. Actually, it is the Books of Blood story.
Cool. I have to ask real quick because I actually, weirdly enough, I was at a friend's house and I noticed that his girlfriend had a copy of Books of Blood, and I was like, "Oh, it's really cool." Was Midnight Meat Train in Books of Blood? Because I kind of remember reading that.
Yeah,
from Books
I think
of Blood.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Okay,
but
cool.
I
fucking love that story.
I mean, I've read the story and I've seen the film.
Yeah.
But I don't remember if it is in Books of Blood or not. I haven't looked at that in quite a while.
I think it might be. I have to look. I didn't open the book and look through it, but I was like, oh, I read Midnight Meat Train and Books of Blood.
Nice.
But I'm probably wrong.
I wanted to ask too, James. I'm pretty sure I saw you tweet about. Did you tweet about Candyman recently?
I might have. I've been doing a lot of like one-tweet movie reviews.
Okay.
To keep my Twitter feed active.
Yes.
And some of them actually get tweeted around and shared everywhere. Like I let's see, one of the ones that I did a while ago. I never saw Phantasm, the 1979 horror movie, the independent horror movie, and it's kind of a science fiction movie. I did a tweet about that, and that got shared all over the place. It got about almost 3,000 impressions,
wow.
which is good these days.
Yeah, that is good. I don't even look at that anymore.
A crazy number of impressions.
I actually have to look at my impressions because I've not looked at that in a while. I just didn't know if you saw. Did you see the preview trailer for the new Candyman? Because I was kind of excited about that.
Yeah, and I will probably eventually see it. I'm pretty busy right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did like the first Candyman movie.
Because I think the new one will be coming out, I think in 2021. It's
Jordan Peele,
yes,
right?
I was going to say Peele is doing it. So it looks really cool. It looks like a cool take on the movie.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'll probably eventually see it. I'll probably wait until it is out on video.
Yeah, same. I feel.
So I did a tweet though right around Christmas about Pet Sematary. I watched that over Christmas, and that got shared all over the place.
Nice.
Also about 3,000. That seems to be the cap, about 3,000 impressions. And I watched Pet Sematary. I hadn't seen it since it came out on VHS, a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I watched it, and it's actually scarier this time around because I realized something about the story. And you can check out the tweet. It's like a 4-part tweet where I explain the secret behind Pet Sematary.
Nice. Yeah, no, that makes me think like I should go back and rewatch some of those older movies.
Well, the thing is, I don't know. I never noticed this the first time when I was a lot younger. When I saw it, is that the evil spirit that comes back and haunts the family and ends up killing them is Zelda.
Like from The Legend of Zelda?
Yeah, remember Rachel's her terminally ill sister that had that was bedridden.
Yes.
So there's a number of clues that's the case. Is that the evil spirit that's inhabiting Gage's corpse, the baby's corpse, is Zelda.
So they never outright say that, but they hint at it. I like that. It's cool.
Yeah, they hint at it repeatedly. That's why I think it's more than just because right when Gage is about to kill Rachel, he appears and he's wearing the same blue dress that Zelda wore. And then also you see a painting of a child with a gray cat that looks exactly like Church wearing that blue dress, and it's in the house where Zelda died.
Nice.
James, there are multiple hints that the Wendigo actually brought back Zelda's spirit to inhabit Gage.
Nice.
And then killed the family. I never caught that the first time.
Yeah, no, I don't recall that either. I will have to go back and rewatch that. James,
yeah, we'll watch it. I think I saw it on Tubi TV. It might still be there.
Cool.
They rotate through movies. So.
Yeah, I got that app when we had Jamie Kennedy on last season, and he had a comedy special that was only on Tubi. So they do have some cool stuff on there.
Yeah, I mean, they do have quite a selection. There's a lot of old horror movies I haven't had time to watch. It's from stuff from the 70s and 60s and 80s.
Yeah.
That kind of that era. And then they have some premium stuff. I saw Sinister on there recently.
Nice.
And do you remember Sinister?
Yeah, our buddy's in that. Steve Coulter is the priest in
Yes,
Sinister.
Yes. I've not seen it, but I do know that he's in it.
Yeah, I think it's actually part of the Conjuring universe.
Yes.
But, the same people that are behind it.
Yeah. Nice.
It's somehow related to that, and it has that feel. Cool. It has the same feeling as the Conjuring universe movies.
Well, James, would you write any other genre, or are you strictly horror?
I have written in between volumes 1 and 2. I wrote a science fiction story for a science fiction collection, and it's called The Unearthly Gardens. And it's in a Metamorphosis Alpha Volume 3. So if you want to check that out, I wrote it. I know a sci-fi author, and he invited me to write a story around, about this generation ship that's lost, and all the stories in the collection are somehow related to what's happened on the generation ship since it went off its path and is now adrift, and the people on the ship don't realize they're on a ship.
Cool.
So I wrote a short story that it's still a horror story, actually.
I was just going to say
it's definitely science fiction.
Yeah, those are two genres that can definitely coincide.
Yeah, and then I'm thinking about writing stuff in the mystery genre too, because the first story, the second story in Doorways to the Unseen Volume 1, Grandfather's Cane, that is, it's really a mystery story. People weren't even sure if the supernatural part of it was real. They thought it was just entirely like a murder story or a mystery story. Cool. And the prequel to that is in Volume 2, and it's called, I can't remember actually, what is the name of it? It's called A God in a Grotto, is the prequel story to Grandfather's Cane. That's in Volume 2. And that's also a kind of a mystery story. And the people that have read it, in both cases, they weren't sure if there was any supernatural element to it at all. If it was in their minds or if it was really there.
That's really
that's
cool.
Something that I have written 2 mystery stories so far.
Nice.
Without realizing it.
I was gonna say that's a cool bit of feedback to get. I wasn't sure if that was just in somebody's head or really going on. That's cool.
Yeah. So I mean, the 2 of the stories I've written so far could fit into the mystery genre, that have kind of a supernatural element to them. I think they're supernatural stories. They're horror stories, but other people read them and thought they were mysteries.
Nice.
So.
Nice. Awesome, James. Thank you so much for talking to us, man. It's been great having you back on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I can come back on whenever you want me to. Volume 3 is coming out in April, and then some other books are coming out later this year.
Definitely, man. Yeah, definitely keep in touch and let me know. And where can everybody find you?
Yeah, everybody can find me at jamesdermond.com, JamesDermond.com, and then also they can find me on Twitter. I have 45,000 followers now, which doesn't mean as much as it used to.
It still impresses me.
But
it still impresses me.
I still have a
James.
large engaged audience.
Big number.
And
Yeah.
I interact with people on there.
Yeah, that's the coolest thing is the interaction. Thanks again, James. Have a good one, dude.
Okay, you too. Thank you.
Take care.